Welcome back to GCTV. As you can see on the top left of your screen, in under 30 minutes time, the GCL Super Cup final presented by Airbank will be underway. We are standing by alongside Dennis Lynch to try and get some thoughts and try and get some reaction. Dennis, you're the only guest that we have allowed to walk the course this week. So because you are the only guest that we've allowed to walk the course this week, I expect a lot from you. Let's start very quickly about what you saw out there. Expectation, anything that stands out that looked dangerous for you, looked worrying for the riders, or does it look quite fair from Uliano?
It's obviously a very fair track. After walking the course, you've early on the triple bar to a double of verticals. Will need a lot of focus and attention from the horse, and directly after that you have the next combination, vertical oxer. Again, you will need a lot of focus from both rider and horse, so that happens early. As for that, yes, I think a fair track, but again, it's a three-man team. Every round counts. So.
And let's not forget there's a round two still to come. We saw in the Grand Prix yesterday how he dialed it up in the second round. Is there room to dial this up for the second round?
I don't think too much more is going to happen. You know, with 6 teams here, for a team to finish on both rounds and 0 would be incredible.
Are we expecting a double clear to be the winning score tonight?
I think 4 falls could do it.
4 will do it?
That would be incredible. As we've seen the scores through the previous rounds, the knockout rounds, the winning team was on 4. People qualified, I think, the other evening on 20 falls.
Yeah.
Correct? So that's a lot of fences.
That is a lot of fences.
Over 2 rounds, 6 teams, winning team, if they finish some there's about on 4 falls, that's I would call it a great result.
All right, so if you are able to maybe finish in and around 4, just 1 fence going down, it may still well be a winning score, according to Dennis Lynch. Let's take a look and remind you around the qualification process of the semi-finals that brought us to this point.
Valkenswaard United with John Whittaker.
It should be a qualifying score for the big final.
Martin Fuchs and the incredible Li Erige.
It is Shanghai Swans that go through at this point.
Now, Eduardo Valverde Sessoir.
Come on, come on.
And he's done it. He has done it. Wow. They go into second place. This is perhaps the biggest night of her career. Anna Kelerova.
The Belgian boys with a Checo, with Anna Kelerova. They go through.
This is Maurice and Omar Caravelli. 1 fence in hand over Rome, and it's all gone wrong.
Yep.
They go to the bottom on 35. It's Olivier Robert.
And that's another one. And that's another one.
Saint-Tropez Pirates are out. 1 fence falls, and the Stockholm Hearts are out.
And it's gone. It is not enough. Here are the season champions.
David Weishaupt.
It's actually possible that the champions are going to push out the Paris Panthers. Weishaupt, and what is the launching clock going to tell us? He's got it in his hand. It's going to be his. It's enough. It's enough. It's good enough. They're in. The Eagles are in. And the Panthers are out.
So those are some of the reactions from the semi-finals. Heartbreak for some, joy for others. And as much as we talk about who is here tonight, there is no denying that that clip in particular reminds us as to who is not here tonight. Ludger Beerbaum and the Berlin Eagles, powered by Fundis, will be a big talking point tonight. They have made a lot of sacrifices to get to this final position. Will it pay off? But first, Dennis, I want to talk about the Paris Panthers. A lot of people's Super Cup favorites, a powerhouse team losing out on time in the semi-final. Give me what was going through your mind watching that dramatic closing stages, Berlin versus Paris, down to the wire, down to the clock.
As we saw, Grigley's stallion is an Olympic horse. They've won medals, also 5-star Grand Prix. Very unusual for him to do what he did.
Yeah.
you know, and that's how tight our sport is. As I said, or I've always said, there's plenty of times I've touched a pole and it's fallen, and plenty of times I've touched a pole and it's stayed up, and I've never won anything without not touching a pole.
Without a hint of luck, you're saying, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And sadly, that evening, very unusual for that stallion, he touched the 3 fences and they sadly fell. And believe me or not, you know, we'll see that horse again in a fortnight or in 3 to 4 weeks' time, touching a pole or 2 poles or 3 and winning or being clear.
What do you think would have been going through the mind of Philipp Weissaut at the time the second fence went down? It was late in his round, the clock would have been ticking. It was those split seconds between them and Paris. What bravery did he show to go for the gun, to try and get the time done? What would have been going through his mind over those last few fences?
Philipp's horse, Kobe, is naturally a very quick horse.
Yeah.
So I don't think too much in that sense as a competitor is going to go through your mind. You know, nobody goes in there on purpose to knock a fence down. He'd be obviously trying to do his best, which he did. And it was lucky enough for the Berlin Eagles to qualify them for today.
I want to go to Valkenswaard United. We'll do that in a few moments' time. Hannah Robson is standing by alongside Andre Thiem. Let's go over there. Hannah, let's talk about Valkenswaard United. How are they feeling?
Well, Andre, you have a horse who is very much on form. How's she feeling today?
I worked a little bit this morning and she felt just like the other days, so I guess that's a good sign because she jumped really well over the last few days.
Gives you some confidence?
Yes, she gives me confidence.
And in terms of the team perspective, of course, you're last to go today. How much of a difference does that make for the team competition?
Well, I don't know. I don't think it makes that much of a difference because everybody is in his own tunnel. So, of course, it's always a little bit more pressure if you know how things are going. But, yeah, we need to not think about that.
We'll let you get back to your preparations. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
So, Valkenswaard United feeling confident, and I wonder whether or not time might be a factor. Dennis, New York Empire missed out because of combined time. I wonder if you think back to your team's performance, it just proves how important going later on is. You guys are quite early to go in that quarterfinal. Would you have changed the perspective had you been later to go? It would have given you better perspective on what was needed, correct?
Absolutely. You know, your order to go, be it in any Grand Prix or jump off, is essential. If you're late to go, you can really assess the course, what you need to do. For us, sadly, we didn't make it through again.
Yeah.
It definitely was very, very decisive, as we see, for Berlin Eagles. And again, their order today will be a question, or a big question. First to go is Ludger. You know, he's not going to know the course as well as Marcus Aney.
Yeah.
He's going to know what he needs to do before he goes in. So order is always, you know, your draw in the class is...
How much can you hide behind the starting list, though? Because Berlin Eagles might argue that they've got these 3 riders that they've been holding for tonight's performance essentially all week long. They know their clears are important. Can they tell themselves that the order means nothing, or will it ultimately come down to the importance of order?
Definitely. Like, you know, you walk a course, course been designed, you'll walk it, but it can, the dynamics can change within the class itself. You know, where a line, we'll walk a line and we walk it as a steady 4.
Yeah.
And suddenly, after 5 or 6 riders, see, whoa, that's a little longer than we thought. You know, so stuff like that, you know, can ultimately change the class.
We talk about the weight of expectation for the Prague Lions, but there's no denying that the expectation of the Berlin Eagles, as we say, who've made such sacrifices, missing out on Super Grand Prix to win today. What is going through the mind? What would you tell Ludger Beerbaum now if you had a word with him in the tunnel?
I wouldn't need to tell him much. You know, with his vast experience, he knows exactly what's at stake and what he's sacrificed, and one has to take my hat off to him, you know. For me, it was a relief because there's one less to worry about last night. He knows exactly what needs to be done, and it just goes to show the importance of this class today. So fair dues to him, and I do really wish the best for him.
All right, well, will the big decision backfire? They've made huge calls throughout the week to prioritize the GCL Super Cup final, and now it is up to them to deliver. Gareth Jenkins is standing by for us up in the commentary box. Gareth, once again, let's take a look at the format. This is not a normal GCL stage. Tell us what we can expect tonight in the final.
It certainly isn't normal. Welcome up here to the commentary box. We're right up here with the audience. And tonight's final, as we know, it's 2 rounds. The key here at the playoffs is it's 3 riders in each team, and all the scores count. We'll take the total out of the first round and add it to the total in the second round. But of course, in round 1, they'll be looking to put a big score, a little score, big performance on mark, and then hopefully putting themselves in a good position, because faults in time will then set the order for that second round, which will be the decider.
Gareth, quickly take us through potential changes. If I'm not mistaken, not a handful. Let's go through quickly. Are there any changes from the semi into today's final?
As has been the story, it's all been about concentrating on today. They've stuck with consistency across the board, except for one team. And that, as we know, is, of course, the winners, Berlin. The Eagles bringing in Mumbai and Christian Kukuk to join up with Ludger and Philip.
Right. Gareth Jenkins, thank you very much. We appreciate your insert. Thank you very much, Gareth Jenkins. We'll try and catch up with them again a little bit later on in the commentary box. Dennis, we talk about the weight of expectation. It brings it to Prague Lions. It brings it to the home team. They are jumping in front of all these people here tonight. Was the performance of Anna Kellner-Rova in the semi-final the best performance of her career?
I don't want to hang it like that, but it was an incredible performance. You know, fair dues to Anna.
Was it arguably the most important performance of her career?
I would say so. Home crowd, home team. You know, them, I really wish them all the best in the world. You know, everything has to go right for them. It's never, as a competitor, in a great position to be home crowd, that immense pressure. But again, Peter, Anna, Niels, they're going to do their best, and both Niels and Peter are very experienced riders. Anna really delivered the other night. It was great to see.
Is there a question around the fact that Peter de Vos, perhaps much like Daniel Deusser, is so blessed with a stable full of Grand Prix winners? He jumped NASCAR early on in the week because he knew that Mons Tupi de la Roque was his LGCT Super Grand Prix horse. He's back NASCAR again, a 9-year-old, to jump in a final. Would Dennis Lynch leave a 5-star Grand Prix winner in the stable and back his 9-year-old, or would you bring your Grand Prix horse in for tonight?
Well, first of all, you know, it depends on what kind of contract they've signed. Secondly, he jumped the mare last night, had a very good performance. It would be hard not to jump her last night. To use the 9-year-old this evening, as we saw, Ludger had made a decision not to jump. Again, it depends on your contract, you know, what you've signed up for the team that year. Would I do it? You know, it's a tough track this evening. Can the 9-year-old jump it? It's the end of the year. I'm sure he can. Otherwise, you know, Peter is a very experienced horseman. He'll know what's best for his horse, and I'm sure he will have made the best decision for the team, I'm hoping, and for that horse.
Yeah, speaking of young horses, there's a lot of Irish blood in the Miami Celtics. I'm sure you'll be keeping a very close eye on them. A 10-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 10-year-old for Bertram Allen, Michael G. Duffy, and Edward Schmitz. Have Bertram Allen and Michael G. Duffy reached out to Uncle Dennis? Have they asked you for any advice for tonight?
I don't really think they need to be getting advice from me, but I've ridden on many teams with the boys, and they're a great bunch.
Super young lineup, though. Is it a concern?
Not at all. Bertram, again, he was on the World Championship team this year with me and Keane, which was incredible. We qualified for the Olympics, and it was great to have him on board. As always, Michael is an amazing young rider coming through the ranks, and please God, one day he will also be there at the Olympics or World Championships. Maybe I'm even part of that. And as for Edward, he's won already a 5-star Grand Prix this year in Dublin. I witnessed that. Incredible. Part of the World Championships team. If I would pick an underdog, they've fought their way through.
Yep.
They might surprise a few people this evening, and I'd really like to see that, mainly because there's 2 Irish boys on board.
Absolutely, and I wonder if we're talking about the round of, as we see Michael G. Duffy now from behind, we're talking about the round of Anna Kellner-Rova, arguably one of the most important of her career. Talk to me about the importance from an emotional point of view, a momentum point of view of that round at Klitschko. in that semi-final. Take us back to that performance and try and describe what was delivered by Michael and Klitschko in that semi-final.
Well, the horse, you know, I've watched it through the season, and you know, he's had a fence here and there. It's a slower type of horse, but very scopy, very genuine, and they've really produced it well. And that's it. They've taken their time. He performed really, really well the other night, jumping that clear round. Can he perform that again? I'd be very confident. You know, he's got Jerry Mullins there on his side, who's been a great backer of us Irish. He's helped us all through, like I said previously. He was there also supporting me, Bertram and Keane, and Daniel at the World Championships. He's a great man on the ground, vast amount of experience. So he will really be out there trying to have everything as good in order and the lads as calm as possible, which they will be, to get the best performance possible out of them. Again, like I said, they're the underdogs, but not really.
Everyone loves an underdog story.
Yes. So we might see these guys on the top this evening.
What I find interesting, Dennis, is that the front page of our starting order are 3 teams that entered in the semi-final stage. The back half of our starting order are 3 teams that entered through the quarter-final stage. I wonder how much energy has been spent in the additional jumping for the quarter-final teams. Do you feel that they are feeling as fresh as possible, or will that extra round late tonight maybe take a little bit of energy? Are they running low on gas?
Not necessarily. All the horses have had a good day off yesterday. They would have been lightly worked, kept fresh. They're all very, very fit horses. You know, at this level, all incredible athletes. Not necessarily. If anything, it'll be an advantage, because if you know, when you have to fight your way through, it does no harm, you know.
Yeah, but clarify that more for me. Like, that is a big claim. You're saying that jumping in the quarterfinal could well be a very big advantage. That goes against what your brain will tell you, that you want to get in the semi to have a day off. Tell me why you think quarterfinal could be an advantage.
It just keeps you sharp as a rider.
Yeah.
And added, and they've had another good course under their belt, which was, as we saw on Friday evening, a very intense class. So coming into this evening, that fraction I would call sharper, you know, be it a horse and rider. So I believe it will work an advantage. Yes, if you have an incredibly experienced horse, partnership, rider-horse over the last 5 years, if you can ease him into this evening, always an advantage.
Yeah.
But that's not always the case.
All right, so Miami Celtics, because of their Irish influence, is your outsider, perhaps is arguably everyone's underdog story that they want to see succeed. Are you putting them onto the podium tonight?
I have it.
Is that how far the underdog story goes?
I've down as them.
All right, so you have them on the podium.
Yes.
Great. Who fills out the rest of your podium? If Miami takes one of those spots, tell us who's taking the rest.
Falcons are united. I do really think they'll deliver today. Okay, what's not to advantage, I find, or disadvantage, sorry, is Berlin Eagles early to go. That can be an advantage.
Yeah.
As it, you know, there's very, very experienced riders, especially with Lugger and Philip there and Christian. They're all working together. They're Barebaum Stables. Shanghai Swans, you know, there's 3 very strong horses in there.
Yeah.
Also hot favourite.
The horse call is an interesting one before I say goodnight. Christian Ullman and Dominator. Many were surprised when Mandato was chosen to jump in the Grand Prix. Again, perhaps suggesting that using Dominator in the team competition was the priority. Dominator wasn't super smooth in the semi-final. Would Dennis Lynch have brought Mandato in, or do you stick with Dominator?
You know, Dominator is #1 horse. Again, I don't know his contract, but possibly in his contract is to use the #1 horse today or for the team, which he's done. And, you know, equally, Nandato's also a very good horse. We saw last night he'd won great round. Second round, some unlucky fences. Yes, he didn't have a great run the other evening. I do believe, you know, with all his experience, Christian, Dominator, it's a good track for Dominator. You know, I'd be very surprised to see him not go clear this evening.
Yeah. All right, Shanghai Swans could be dangerous. Falcons United may well be the champions, and Miami Celtics could well be the outsider, could well be the underdog fairy tale story to leave Prague on the podium. We will find out in a few moments' time. Dennis Lynch and I standing by. GCL Super Cup final presented by Airbank is next.